Bills can improve to 5-0 on Sunday night with a win over the Patriots. I'm going to tell you how the Bills can get that done today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda, Move, and Be Moved. Well, folks, welcome in. It's time to get ready for the Bills' Week 5 opponent, the challenges they present, and what the Bills need to do to deal with them. So let's dive into it. The Bills are at home in Week 5 to host the New England Patriots. The game will be played on Sunday, October 5th at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. You can watch this game on NBC. Mike Tirico is on the play-by-play. Chris Collinsworth is the game analyst, and Melissa Stark is your sideline reporter. This will be the 132nd all-time meeting between the Bills and the Patriots, and the Bills hold an all-time mark of 51, 79, and 1 against New England. The Bills enter this game 4-0 with wins over the Ravens, Jets, Dolphins, and Saints. The Patriots are 2-2. They beat the Dolphins and the Panthers. They lost to the Raiders and the Steelers. The head coach of the New England Patriots is now Mike Vrabel. He's 50 years old. It's his first season as the head coach of the Patriots. It's his 7th overall season as an NFL head coach. Of course, he had the run with the Tennessee Titans 2018 through 2022. In 6 seasons with Tennessee, he was 56-47, went to the playoffs 3 times, but the last 2 years weren't as strong. He was 13-21 over those last 2 seasons and was let go. There's a lot of dysfunction with him and the general manager, and they've been through, I think, like 3 general managers since he left. It's been pretty chaotic with Tennessee, and now Mike Vrabel is back with New England, the team, obviously, that he played for, and he replaces Gerard Mayo, who was one and done as the first successor for Bill Belichick. The quarterback of the New England Patriots is Drake Maye. He's 23 years old. 6'4", 225 pounds, was a first-round pick, number 3 overall in 2024 out of North Carolina, has started 16 career games, and the Patriots are 5-11 in those 16 starts. So far this year, he's been really strong metrically. He's completing 74% of his passes, which I think is number 1 in the NFL, 247 passing yards per game, 7 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a passer rating of 109.4. So far this year, he's number 3 in the NFL in EPA per dropback at plus 0.23. He throws deep, not that often. Only 8% of throws are deep. And when I say deep, I mean 20 yards or more from the line of scrimmage. That's 26th in deep ball frequency. Now, when he's pulled the trigger on the deep ball, it's worked well. He's 4 of 6 for 127 yards. In fact, that's number 1 in EPA per dropback on deep throws in the NFL. So hasn't done it much, but when it's happened, it's worked quite well. Yards after catch, not a huge part of the formula. 46.5% of his passing yards come after the catch. That's 22nd. He throws to his first read a lot. 74% of throws to his first read. That's 5th highest in the NFL. His average time to throw is 2.57 seconds. That's 19th in terms of fastest trigger among NFL starters. Catchable ball rate is really good. 81% of his passes are catchable. That's the 2nd highest catchable ball rate of any quarterback in the league. Turnover-worthy throw rate is 2.4%. That is 12th best in the NFL. Drops aren't a huge problem. 4.9% of throws are dropped. That's 17th, so middle of the pack there. He's pressured on 40% of dropbacks. That's 13th most in the NFL. They run play action on 27% of dropbacks. That's 11th. They run screens only 8% of the time. That is 23rd. I think a lot of Drake Maye. I think he's a good young quarterback and has the makings of being one of those special ones. He's got great size. He's like 6'5", 230. He's got really good athleticism. He's clutch. His third down metrics are off the charts, and he was awesome on third downs and high leverage moments at North Carolina. That's something that's always impressed me about Drake Maye. He's got charisma. He's got personality. He's going to be a good challenge for this Bills defense, and I think in a lot of ways where he excels are areas that the Bills have had some issues, whether that's third downs, dealing with mobile quarterbacks, dealing with some of the quicker passes to the first read. He could put a lot of stress on this defense, and I think it's a good challenge for the Bills. And so there's a lot of really good things to say about Drake Maye. He's earned that. But I will say, if there is a chink in the armor at this point, is that the guy takes a ton of sacks. He's been sacked on 9.5% of dropbacks this year. That's actually higher than it was during his rookie season when, obviously everyone said, hey, offensive line, he doesn't have any receivers. The coaching's bad. Well, his sack rate is higher so far this year, and he doesn't do a good job of not allowing pressure to turn into sacks. 21% of the pressure he faces turns into a sack. That's the 5th highest rate in the NFL. And if you buy into that some sacks are the responsibility of the quarterback, which I absolutely do, and I believe you should as well, 5 of the sacks he's taken so far this year are his fault, which is the second most behind only Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick rookie for the Titans, who has taken 7 sacks that are charged to him. So obviously there's a lot of good, but pressure on this guy is going to matter a ton, and obviously getting him down when you have the opportunity. All right, we'll talk more about this Patriots offense, the skill players, and my keys for the Bills defense against them. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Certain businesses truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Spending money there doesn't just support the business, it supports the people behind it and the community around it. Those local spots are what makes the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square will see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, and here is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Cole Bishop's interception against the New Orleans Saints. And, of course, New Orleans was threatening to score late in the second quarter, had the opportunity to take the lead at halftime. 3rd and goal. Cole Bishop had other plans. He breaks on the trick play, right? Chris Olave, the receiver, throwing the ball to the quarterback, Spencer Rattler, the Philly special. Cole Bishop makes an unbelievably athletic play, takes away the football, and takes points off the board for the Saints and allows the Bills to enter halftime with the lead. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, folks, let's talk more about this Patriots offense that is coordinated by Josh McDaniels, 49 years old. It's his first year back in New England and his 3rd different stint with the Patriots. You know this guy. He's been a longtime member of the Patriots. Really, he's been an offensive coordinator or a head coach in the league every year since 2006, and a lot of that obviously coming with the Patriots. He had 2 years as the Broncos head coach, 2 years as the Raiders head coach. But back where it feels normal, right? Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, and that's just the way it's going to be, right? The metrics here, they're averaging 25.5 points per game. That's 11th in the NFL. They pass it 57% of the time. They run it 43% of the time. That's middle of the pack for both. 16th in pass rate, 17th in run rate. They're 9th in EPA per play offensively, 4th in EPA per pass, 29th, though, in EPA per rush. So they are passing the ball well, but not running it well. They convert 42% of their third downs. That's 10th best in the league. They score in the red zone 67% of the time. That's 8th best. They're 10 of 15 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Let's talk about their personnel at wide receiver. You know, this guy, Stephon Diggs, that's their number one receiver. And, you know, I think Steph's still a good player. I think he's a good short to intermediate route runner that can get open. I don't think he's the down the field threat or the yards after catch threat that he used to be, but a stay on schedule type player for Drake Maye. Kayshon Boutte is another one of their primary receivers. You know, he's a guy that I think has flashed a lot, and flashed a lot with his ability to make plays down the field. You saw that last year. Boy, Kyrie Elam struggled with Kayshon Boutte, and fortunately for the Bills, Kyrie Elam won't be covering Kayshon Boutte, but a guy that's not super explosive, but knows how to win vertically, a good player in terms of leveraging at the catch point, presenting an available target, a pretty good-looking young receiver. Demario Douglas is their slot player. He's really fast. They haven't gotten him going too much this year. I thought he'd have a bigger role. He was a guy that had a decent amount of production the last 2 years, including, you know, last year with Drake Maye, but he's only had 11 targets so far this year. And then they have that Mac Hollins guy. You know about him, right? Size, physicality, kind of an X-factor type player. I think he's got 2 touchdown catches in 4 games for New England on only 9 targets. At tight end, Hunter Henry's the guy. I think he's a good starting NFL tight end, good pass catcher, can work the middle of the field, can work the seam. He'll be an important player for the Bills to deal with. And they got a good number 2 tight end in Austin Hooper, who maybe for some teams would be a low-level starter, but he's a good number 2 tight end. Their running backs, Ramondre Stevenson is their main ball carrier. He's big, right? Big, physical between the tackles runner with a decent amount of explosiveness. They drafted Travion Henderson in the 2nd round out of Ohio State. He's really, really dynamic. Can catch the football, is good in pass pro, has a lot of speed. He hasn't really gotten going yet, but I think he's going to be a major part of this offense at some point and for the foreseeable future. They also have Antonio Gibson, who's a big physical, explosive runner, but he's been a very high variance player throughout his career. There's a lot of ball handling issues with him, but you know, there's no denying that he's got size and he's got physicality and he's got explosive speed. So 3 different backs, neither one of them have really gotten going yet, but I think all 3 are capable and potent in their own way. So when it comes to the carry distribution, Ramondre Stevenson, 31 carries for 125 yards. Travion Henderson has 26 for 97. Drake Maye, 24 for 98. And Antonio Gibson, 19 for 85. So you've got 4 ball carriers with between 19 and 31 carries. So there's different players that you're going to have to deal with that are going to touch the football, and I think they're all unique in their own way. When it comes to target distribution, Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry both have 22 targets to tie for the team lead. Then it's Kayshon Boutte with 15, Travion Henderson 13, Ramondre Stevenson 12, Pop Douglas 11, Mac Hollins 9. So you'll notice quite a few running backs. They have 3 running backs in their top 5 in terms of target distribution. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but they like to throw the ball to running backs, as you know from Josh McDaniels, right? You've seen all those guys throughout the years, James White, Kevin Falk. You know, they'll throw the ball to running backs, and that's continuing, just different players. The offensive line, their left tackle is Will Campbell, was their number 5 overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, this past year out of LSU. I think he's been up and down. I think he's got some good physicality in the run game, but, kind of a narrow build, doesn't have a ton of length. A lot of people thought he's a guy that's destined to play on the inside at some point, but obviously he's getting that opportunity to play tackle. The left guard is another rookie, Jared Wilson, who didn't have a ton of experience at Georgia, is a player that you watch at Georgia and think, wow, I think he can really be something in time. And then he declared after like 1 season as a starter and has won their job at left guard. And he missed some time last week. Ben Brown came in and replaced him. So we'll see what the status is there, but there could be 2 rookies on the left side of this line on Sunday night. Their center is Garrett Bradbury, was a longtime starter for the Vikings. They cut him and moved on this past offseason, and he goes to New England, and he's an experienced player that's very, very athletic, but he's also not a super physical player, and his anchor's something that's been an issue really going back to his time at North Carolina State. Their best offensive lineman is their right guard, Mike Onwenu. I feel like I've said that for every Patriots primer that I've done for the last several years. And he's a good player, good physical player at right guard. And then the right tackle is Morgan Moses, who, kind of a very steady veteran player that's been in the league for a long time, that stabilizes things. I don't think he's a long-term pillar, but he's definitely a serviceable answer for them right now at right tackle. So what are my keys for the Bills on defense against this offense? Number one is that the pass rush has got to show up. It has to. Drake Maye has a passer rating of 121 when he's kept clean. It goes down to 64.2 when pressured. Now, most quarterbacks have pretty big differences in when they're kept clean versus when they're pressured. But, you want to make Drake Maye worse, get pressure on him. Because Maye can find rhythm. We talked about him. He's leading the league in completion percentage. And he's a guy that can work off script. You cannot let him be comfortable. So your 5- and 6-man pressures, winning one-on-ones, all of it. And we talked about this already. Maye has taken sacks. 9.5% of dropbacks this year have been sacks. And he's not getting out of a lot of pressure. So your pass rush has to show up. Number two is you have to account for Drake Maye as a runner. He's big and he can move. And the Bills' defense has been horrible this year at defending scrambles. So far in 4 games, the Bills have given up 119 yards on quarterback scrambles. That's the 4th most in the NFL. And opposing quarterbacks are getting 10.82 yards per carry on scrambles. So your plan for not only affecting Drake Maye when he's passing with pressure and sacks, you've also got to be able to account for him running. And the Bills have done a poor job of that this year. So I'm not a big quarterback spy guy. I think that's a recipe for hurting your rush or hurting your coverage because you're basically just sacrificing a player. But you have to be aware of his tendencies. And when he goes, you got to trigger and get him down. You can't be getting torched left and right on scrambles this week. And then number 3 is you have to be ready to account for running backs in the passing game. So far this year in 4 games, the Patriots running backs have 24 catches for 242 yards. That's the 2nd most receiving yards this year to running backs, behind only the 49ers, and Christian McCaffrey's had a couple of huge gains on screens for them. So you have to deal with that for sure. And the Bills have got to defend these running backs out of the backfield in the passing game. Now, one thing that I'm sure New England's thinking about is, that they're going to be able to run the ball against the Bills. I think they need to prove that. Well, let's pump the brakes on, New England coming in and just running the ball against a bad Bills defense. Is anybody talking about how the Patriots really haven't run the ball well this year? I'm not saying that they won't come in and have maybe the best game of their season running the football, but it's not like this is good on bad. It's bad on bad, right? The Bills are not good at defending the run. The Patriots haven't been good at running the football. So, yes, I'm mindful of that dynamic, but for as much as the Bills have to prove defending the run, the Patriots have a ton to prove and their capacity to run the football at a point where anybody should be concerned about it. So I am curious about that, but I want to learn more about the Patriots and their ability to run it before I just assume that every team's going to show up with 150 rushing yards against the Bills, especially a team that hasn't proven to be able to do that yet this year. All right, in just a moment, we're going to talk Patriots defense and what type of opportunities will be there for Josh Allen and company. We'll do that here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Well, folks, welcome back. If you're looking for more content from me, I have it for you, and I'm really excited about the Herd Mentality Substack. We're in year 2 of it, and I'm just having so much fun with it and enjoying being able to produce additional written and video content that if you subscribe, it's going to go right to your email box. And, I write at least 3 posts per week. One is my all 22 film review, where after every Bills game, the day after, I spend all day in the tape and I put together like 30 to 50 minutes worth of film breakdown and analysis that I send right to your email box. Then in the middle of the week, I write a post called Josh Allen Weekly, where I dive into 76 different data points for Josh Allen. I compare where he's at to 32 other starters. And, every week I feel like I unpack something. And this week I got into Josh Allen and the trends of him throwing to the ball to his first read. And of course, the deep passing game and the screen rate and the play action rate and like what's working. And people have questions about pass protection. And is it really worse than it's been over the last 3 years? And we dive into all of that every single week. And I really love how that came out this week. And then on Fridays, you get my scouting matchup primer, where I'll take both teams, whoever the Bills and whoever they're playing. And I put every player in a different category. I rank them, in terms of what type of player they are. And you get this visual depth chart that shows like the head-to-head matchup, and you can see where the advantages are, and you get a bunch of analysis from me as well in that. So I'd love for you to check it out. It's the Herd Mentality Substack. If you'd like to be part of it or learn more, go to thejoemarino.com. You can type that right into your browser, or there's a link in today's show notes to go to thejoemarino.com. And oh, by the way, it gets you into that Discord channel. We have almost 2,000 people in there, and it's just a big group chat all day. We're talking Bills. So if you're looking for some more community, you want to engage with more Bills fans, if you want to engage more with me, I'm in there all the time. We've been talking all about James Cook and him being offensive player of the month, and had a good conversation this week about rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks and rookie deals, and, which one we would want for the Bills and all that type of stuff. So, and I go live every Wednesday night. We go live and hang out. We do the Herd Hangout every Wednesday night, and sometimes Jerry Ostrowski's in there with me breaking down film. We'll do Q&A. We did an unboxing video last night. We had a lot of fun. So check out the Herd Mentality Substack, because that gets you in our Discord. But anyways, go to thejoemarino.com and learn more. All right, the defensive coordinator for the Patriots is Terrell Williams, and unfortunately, he's battling prostate cancer. And so they've had to turn to Zach Kerr as a guy that's calling the defense, and obviously Mike Vrabel. It's very much his defense and his, identity as a defensive coordinator. So I'm assuming they're collaborating on that. And obviously our best wishes and prayers to Terrell Williams as he battles the prostate cancer right now. Metrically, they're allowing 20 points per game so far this year. Defensively, that's 11th in the league. They're 22nd in EPA per play, 26th in EPA per pass, 4th in EPA per rush. They're 39% on third down. That's 19th. They allow a touchdown 88% of the time that opponents get to the red zone. That's 31st in the NFL. 7 out of 8 trips have resulted in a touchdown against the Patriots in the red zone. They run man coverage 30% of the time. That's 10th highest in the NFL. It's a rate that I can see going up now that they have Christian Gonzalez back healthy at corner. They blitz 25% of the time. That's 18th in terms of frequency. Let's talk about the personnel at defensive tackle. The best player, I think, is Christian Barmore. He's one of those really dynamic penetration style defensive tackles that can really get into gaps, and he's explosive, and one of those types of guys. I don't know that he's quite like Quinnen Williams, but maybe like the B plus version of Quinnen Williams. That's kind of who he is. They have Milton Williams, who they gave all the money in the world to come over. Obviously, the big postseason run that he had with the Eagles. He's a little small, but he's another guy that can really penetrate and make some plays behind the line of scrimmage. I will say, as of the recording of this podcast, he didn't practice on Thursday, so we'll see what his status is. That'd be a notable loss for them. They have Crisis Tonga, who's your classic big space-eating nose tackle, and they also have Keon White, who's a player that took a big step forward last year. Very, very, very athletic. player that hasn't made as much impact or played as much this year, but definitely a player that I think, obviously, if Milton Williams can't go, he'll play a lot more this week. On the edge, their main guy is Harold Landry. Had a lot of success with Mike Vrabel during their time together in Tennessee, and now he's in New England. And Landry's a pretty good player. I don't think he's like the type of guy where you're losing sleep over him, but I think he's a quality pass rusher in the NFL that also is a pretty good run defender, and he plays his best football in this scheme. They have Caleb Chase on, former first-round pick that's bounced around quite a bit. He's got some speed. He's got some flexibility, but I think he's more of a third or a fourth pass rusher than a number 2 off the edge. And then Anthony Jennings, who's a really good edge setter, physical player. I don't think he's a super dynamic pass rusher, but kind of a quality reserve that's going to step in and give you good run defense and some pass rush. At linebacker, Robert Spillane is their main guy. They paid him a nice contract in free agency. I don't think he's played his best football yet with the Patriots. I think he's turned it on the last couple of games. Kind of a do-everything backer. He plays fast and physical, will play into the line of scrimmage, has been a up-and-down coverage player. And I think he's still kind of settling into this defense. And then Christian Ellis has been his running mate, and he's been a disaster for them. And Jack Gibbons has played a little bit more, who had some time with Vrabel in Tennessee. So I could see both of them getting run. I could see it being just Gibbons or just Ellis. But I think ultimately you have a pretty unsettled linebacker situation, especially the non-Spillane player in this group. At corner, boy, they got a couple of really great outside corners. Christian Gonzalez looks like one of the best young corners in all of football. He missed the first few games, but returned last week, and obviously he's good to go. That's a really good player. Ball skills, size, length, he's got all that stuff. Really athletic. And then his running mate is Carlton Davis, who's experienced starter in the league. He's been an above-average starter for the Lions, for the Bucks. Good press corner. Both of those guys are really physical guys with length that, if I had those guys as my corner, we'd be playing press man coverage all the time. And I think that's a big part of what they want to be as a defense. Their slot corner is Marcus Jones. I will rave about him as a returner. I think he's an average slot corner, but he's very, very athletic. At safety, they got questions. Jalen Hawkins, who I think has been more of a career depth player. Craig Woodson, who's a rookie who might not play. He's injured. And if he can't go, it's Kyle Duggar. And Kyle Duggar is a player that they've tried so hard to get rid of. They can't find anyone to trade for him. Obviously, got the huge contract, but he's really struggled the last couple of years after a promising start to his career. So we know that they don't want to play him, right? It's been pretty clear. They tried to trade him, couldn't find anyone. They're playing a rookie over him. So they would reluctantly put him in the lineup if Craig Woodson can't go. So what are my keys for the Bills' offense against this defense? Is number one, see what this run defense really is. Metrically, it's really good. Number 2 in yards per attempt at 3.3. They've only given up 310 yards in 4 games. That's number 2. And they're number 4 in EPA per run. I'm not buying it. They played the Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, and Panthers. Nobody's concerned about any of those rushing offenses. And none of those teams have quarterbacks that concern you running the football. The Bills they're a different challenge. They're a different challenge running the football. And I got into this on Bill Squad on Thursday. I encourage you to go back and listen to that. Me and Jerry, we kind of got into the stress that the Bills offense, and in particular the run game, puts on a defense. And I don't think the Patriots have seen anything like what's coming on Sunday night. And so, yeah, metrically they've been good through 4 games, but I don't think it tells the real story of what they have and it being a true neutralizer of the Bills' rushing offense. I think the Bills should run the ball well, and I think you should make them prove that they're this type of run defense, and I think you'll like how that story goes for you. I think you have to attack the middle of the field, throwing the football against this team. Their pass coverage has not been good this year. They're 26th in EPA per pass. And I think that's, they're getting Christian Gonzalez back, and I think that will change a little bit. But when I look at their personnel in the middle of the field, at linebacker and safety, I just see opportunity. I see a ton of opportunity. And Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, players in the middle of the field. You got to work the football there, not only because they're not as good there, but they got Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez on the outside. This isn't going to be your Keon Coleman 8 targets, back shoulder, stacking corners vertically. It's not, that probably won't happen. This is a middle of the field target game. Throw the ball to the middle of the field. I don't think they have the guys that can really take away some of the opportunities that I think will be there for Buffalo. And then number 3 is and look, I know the Bills will do this, but use your big people. When I say that, I mean your big personnel groupings, your 2 tight ends, your 3 tight ends, your Reggie Gilliam packages, because what that will do is it'll force the Patriots into base personnel, right? That's the whole point, is you get to dictate terms. We get to decide what players you put on the field. And so far, this Patriots defense has been very poor in their base personnel grouping. They're fifth worst in EPA per snap with base personnel when defending the pass. So the Patriots pass defense is 5th worst in the NFL in EPA per snap with base personnel. So you get those 3 linebackers on the field, and the Bills are uniquely equipped to stress that, right? Like, they have the tight ends and the different types of receivers and the running backs that can really take advantage of an area where New England's been vulnerable, and certainly in ways that I don't think any of the teams they've played to this point can. So continue to lean into those condensed formations with your big people, get their base packages on the field, and throw the ball, because they've not proven able to really be sound with their coverage in that capacity. Real quick on special teams, their kicker is a rookie, Andres Borregales, 6th-round pick out of Miami. He's 10 of 12 on extra points, 4 out of 5 on field goals. Obviously, still a lot to prove there. Their punter is Bryce Behringer. It's his 3rd season as the Patriots punter. So far, he's 15th in EPA per punt this year. Their kick returners are really good. It's Antonio Gibson and Travion Henderson as their kick returners. They're both explosive players that can break tackles. Antonio Gibson already has a return touchdown this year from kick return. And their punt returner might be the best in the league, Marcus Jones. And in college, he had 9 punt returns for a touchdown. So far in his NFL career, he's averaging 15 yards per punt return, has 2 punt return touchdowns in the NFL, had 1 last week, one of the most spectacular plays you'll ever see. I don't want to deal with him. So first of all, step 1 is let's not punt, right? That'd be cool. But if you have to punt, you can't give this guy any opportunity to make a game-changing play against you. So there you have it. High-level analysis on the Bills-Patriots matchup. I hope that this helps you feel better about what the Patriots have, what they don't, the opportunities for Buffalo. And I hope that you'll come back for our conversation that I'll put out on Saturday. I have some thoughts that I want to get into just about some of the dynamics around this game, and some thoughts on the Bills and their status versus where New England wants to be, and some thoughts I want to dump on you on Saturday. And of course, in addition to my 5 predictions, and we'll have a chat with Dr. Kyle Trimble about the injuries. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.